If you haven't seen our other videos, my name is Luke Sheldrick. I own and operate a small-scale vegetable and flower farm with my wife Dana, 45 minutes west of Ottawa. It's a profitable farm where we serve 3 farmers markets, over 20 restaurants and retail locations, and about 100 CSA veggie baskets throughout the summer. We have 8 full-time staff, and this is a channel where we're doing weekly vlogs as well as other informative videos. So if you're interested in any of that information, learning how it goes or just checking in week to week, please hit the subscribe button or the like button. And this week is gonna be great. We got some snow on the ground. Before we even get into the video, I can tell you for sure there's some exciting stuff coming our way and also some disappointments. I know for a fact that we're gonna have a troublesome week, but also some phenomenal stuff. So that's the life of a farmer, and you'll see it throughout the episode. Here's the bad news I was talking about. This is week 3 of talking about the grafts, and this is the devastation zone. Out of 4 years, this is by far the worst we've ever done. I think the worst we've ever done was maybe like 60 to 70% success. This is definitely under 50, and some are still dying, so they've been hardened off. I'm getting them out to the nursery. I'm hoping that can help them. I'm hoping we can still have close to enough to fill our greenhouse. It's extremely sad. A lot of work, a lot of money went into these, and they're just dying back. There's definitely a few factors that I've learned that contributed to this, and there's a phenomenal quote about this. Potato farmer that's grown potatoes for 20 years, that's almost a lifetime of farming, and he's only done it 20 times. So I feel like I'm a pro. I've done this 4 years and it's only 4 times. So many more years to come, and hopefully a lot more of the successful ones. But this was sad and yeah, devastating. But we move forward, we make another plan, and I'll talk about what we did. I would normally plan on putting some music over that, but whatever was playing in the van is just as morbid as that looked. So yeah, this is our sad little trip. I mean, it's not that bad. It just is what it is, but it sucks when this stuff happens. So the other fear is that they are still dying back. I don't know what it is, and I have my suspicions, as I said, but we just have to cross our fingers that we get enough. And the thing I mentioned that I would share is that I have reached out to some other farmers. So I know from experience that because you plant more than you need, we typically have like sometimes 50 to 100 extras, and that's all we need. So I've called for backup from some other farmers, and we might get that greenhouse filled. After moving the tomatoes out to the nursery to harden off for a couple days, we will pot them up and then cross our fingers that they all survive, and we'll know by the end of this week, by Friday, whether we're gonna have enough tomatoes to fill our greenhouse. This is the outdoor boiler that I mentioned in another video as well. So this is what heats our backup furnace for our nursery. So it's always good to have a backup in case something goes down. Right now it's broken. It's currently being fixed. But this is an outdoor boiler. It heats our home through running hot water through coils in the house, and a blower pushes that through the home. So same for the radiant heater in our nursery. And I know some people even use these to heat their greenhouses, but I feel like that would be maybe a lot of work to consistently make sure they have enough wood. And from experience with our home, when it's colder than you expect and you don't load it enough, it can drop. So that's a little bit too much risk for me. I like our primary one being a propane heater in the greenhouse or a nursery. In the spring, we keep this drum, well, it's just a garbage bin, but a drum to fill at the end of our day, so that we don't always have to bring the hose to and from the greenhouse. We don't have like a separate frost-free valve in here. That's the end goal. For those that don't know what a frost-free valve is, that's where when you're in an environment that goes below 0, you need your plumbing for your greenhouse to be buried 4 feet or deeper. And then you have a frost-free valve that comes up that you can turn on and off from within the greenhouse. and that allows you to be able to irrigate at all times of the year. Us, without that, we have to run a hose to and from our locations that do have a spout. And yeah, so this little option just makes it a little bit easier, so we're not always running the hose. So I'm just doing a little spot watering right now. Like, I might even hook up the hose later today, or definitely tomorrow morning, and every day throughout the week, because we'll be doing lots of planting. But nice option for the in-betweens. So typically during the season, I have Sundays and Mondays off. That's the way we structure our week. We have crew that work here 6 days a week, and it's an alternating schedule. So half the crew is Monday to Friday and half the crew is Tuesday to Saturday. That's how we make sure the chores are getting done. Sundays, we kind of slack a bit on the chores. I do a little bit, but I try not to work. And then Mondays, I call it a day off, but there's always like a field walk to do and a bit of administration. So typically, like, I try to do it in under 2 hours. So right now, this is my Monday. That's what I'm doing. So this is where we have our garlic planted. We actually run drip under our straw so that we can ensure that it's getting irrigated during the period when it bulbs up. After a few years when we weren't getting nice big bulbs because it hadn't rained during June, we decided to do that because running sprinklers just feels redundant when you have straw there. And even if it is getting wet, it's probably not enough. So yeah, we run drip under all 8 beds, 4 lines per bed. And then through June, when it's bulbing up, we're irrigating regularly. And that has helped a lot. So this system here is how we irrigate in the spring without having to get into our irrigation pond and run our outside system when the temperatures are below 0, because that's a ton of work to set up, take down every day. So 2,000 liter tanks, and then we have a pump. And then in the main season, we have this hooked up to the Orisha to run automated from our cell phone so that it can irrigate our greenhouses separate from our field irrigation. But in the shoulder season, we just use it manually to irrigate the 2 greenhouses. So we can do 1 at a time, and the 2,000 liters is enough to do a 30-minute irrigation on each tunnel, which is enough at this time of year to sustain them. This tunnel was home to the dahlias last year, and it will be also home to our first spring planting of flowers. Then when it's mid-May, we're actually gonna pick this one up and move it. So this week we're just prepping all of the tunnels for our spring planting. These are gonna warm the soil faster so that we can get in a couple weeks earlier. This one is probably by far the worst. It's gonna be quite a bit of work. We're actually gonna use the BCS to rebuild these beds because we only had 3 in here. So we'll be going back to 4. And when they're nasty like this, it's just nice to rebuild and start fresh. One of the hard things about farming is just being on top of like next week. So one of the wins last week was I remembered, okay, we're prepping next week. I better get the BCS to the shop, because I remembered from the fall last year that the pull cord wasn't running right and it was kind of like sounding wrong. So that was a quick thought, and sometimes you win them, sometimes you miss them, but that was a good one. So we got it into the shop. And yeah, now it's back on Tuesday, start of the week, and we're gonna be using it today to prep some fields, mow some stuff, and it's good. That's a win. So behind me, I realize I've been talking a lot about this machine without telling what it is. So this is the BCS 2-wheel tractor. It is a phenomenal tool for small scale farming because unlike just like a rototiller, it has a PTO shaft and a big engine on it and a lot of power. So it can run, we have the flail mower, the rotary plow, and the tiller. And one that we also would like to get is the power harrow. And that sort of is like a tiller, but it goes this way. It's like an egg beater. We don't have that yet. Anyway, I'm going to be using it right now for the rotary plow to rebuild some beds in that tunnel that I spoke about. I was trying to look cool and show how quick the quick hitch could be, and I did not bad. That was pretty good. This brake line is stuck open, so one of the wheels isn't turning freely when it's in neutral. So now I have to figure that out before I get out to the field. There was slack in this line, so that means I just followed it down, and there's this lever here that is stuck up with the brake on, so it got like stuck on. So I'm just gonna grease that up and hopefully loosen that back off, and that should work. I just want to quickly touch on something that's happening here, which is the Cal, hello Cal.
Hi.
Is working on the quack grass, that because this cat tunnel is right next to the grass, the long edge is needing to be edged this year. We always edge the starts and the ends of the beds because that's where the quack grass comes in. But of course, there's 2 edges to every plot that need this long edging. So hopefully just once a year, she's just edging the whole bed, and you can see these little devil quackgrass sending in their rhizomes, and they just shoot in under this landscape fabric, and even though we have it trenched, they still shoot in, and we just maintain them. It's an annual task. And then the same thing, Caitlin is doing the same thing at this end. Hi Caitlin. They're killing it. This is an example of no-till bed prep, or maybe minimal till, because we might just run the tiller over it once we add our amendments, depending. These will end up being like stale seed beds because we're prepping them now, and then the weeds will have a chance to come up, and then we will likely just quickly do the top 2 inches, which I would call minimal till. I'm on my way to do what I call Mo-Til, the opposite of no-till, which will be rebuilding the beds in the tunnel that really needs it. So I'm going to show you rebuilding beds. You're probably going to see me struggle in here. I'm going to make a time lapse. And this was 3 beds for dahlias. I'm going to squeeze it back into 4 for our fall planting, spring planting. So I'm going to be nestled up here as close as I can get to sort of throw this back in, and this will be a bed, and then work our way across. So it's not going to be a fun one, but you'll get to see. Probably one of the least straight beds I've ever done, but let's see if we can get a bit better here. Progress. It is snowing out here. The tulips are behind me, and let's see what's popped up since last week. Lots coming in. We've got over, I think it's about 3,500. No, is that right? I gotta check my numbers. I think that's right. So it's Saturday, end of week 6. Thank you so much for checking out the video this week. The grafts, I just want to show you here. We got 220. We planned on doing 3 beds in greenhouse 2 plus the extras coming into greenhouse 1. But instead now we've planted a second planting of non-grafted tomatoes for greenhouse 1. So some of the damage is sort of mitigated there. So really we only need 300 tomatoes now out of 768 that we initially intended. Of course there was some loss factored into that number. So 300, not bad. We have 220, we figure we're gonna lose 10% more. So we'll have 200 of our own. And then a friend has said they are likely to have around 100. And they're planting this week. And we'll have a clearer number of what we need at the end of this week too. But they're all looking good potted up. Like I said, a few we might lose. So all in all, the grafted tomatoes, I think we're gonna make it through. We'll be able to fill greenhouse 2 with tomatoes. And we got all our planting done this week. As you can see, this is totally full. We've got some trays stacked. That works until they germinate, obviously. So most of those are 3-4 days away. So that'll give us time to just move this wall early next week, set up more tables, and then unstack. And also because we have problems with voles and mice sometimes in the spring when they're really hungry digging for seeds, keeping them stacked actually keeps them safe as well. Because you don't want to lose entire trays to something just nestling around and rummaging, and it happens. So it's disappointing, so we don't mind keeping them stacked and then unstacking when needed. So thank you again for checking out this week's video. Really exciting. We got the cat tunnels all prepped. We got the nursery planting done. We went over some no-till versus Mo-Til, using the rotary plow versus just hand tools. If you enjoyed this week or any week or the content in general, please hit like, subscribe. If you have questions you want answered, throw them down below because then I can include it in next week. Anything you've seen from the past that you're curious about, yeah, throw it down there and I will answer as many questions throughout the week as I can. This is really for you guys. We love our lives as small scale farmers. It's a difficult, challenging life that has brought us a really rich lifestyle, and I'm happy to share in what we've learned, how you could do it, because we need more small scale farmers, and that's why I'm doing this, is to share. So please follow along, comment, and yeah, thank you.